All right, first video in a while, but here we are with my 2007 Honda Accord. This is the V6 6-speed model, and I'm a few weeks late, but as of about 3 weeks ago, I've had this car for 5 years, so I thought I would just make a quick update video on it. Just doing a little bit of a walk around here. Back shortly after I bought the car, I replaced both of the headlight assemblies and the front bumper because it had a big crack in it. I think the previous owner ran into something like a parking post or something. So I replaced it and it looked great when it was new, but you can see the paint is kind of chipping away now, which doesn't look great. But I'm sure I could touch that up and then make it look at least a little bit better. And this fitment here hasn't ever been right, and I'm not sure what's going on here, but it's functional, so whatever. Going around, it's still pretty clean and pretty good shape. I mean, a few marks and dings here and there, but nothing major. And driver's side's looking pretty decent too. There's one kind of golf ball sized ding in the front of the rear door here. I don't know if you can see it on camera. Unfortunately, got a little bit of cancer right here, so not sure what to do about that. But while we're here, you'll see I have put new tires on it recently. I got the Michelin Pilot Sport All Season 4s, and these are excellent tires as far as performance. It really transformed how well the car grips the road and handles the corners. I've been really impressed with these tires, except for in the snow, but that's okay. Shot of the rear. All the V6 models came with dual exhaust, and I really like this rear end look of the 7th gen refresh Accord with these LED taillights. Definitely a nice touch. You will notice my Accord V6 badges. I actually have them in the glove box, but they looked like they were about ready to fall off, so I just took them off myself so I wouldn't lose them. Go ahead and jump inside. This is the Carbon Bronze Pearl exterior paint color with the light, I'm not sure what Honda called it, ivory interior. Somebody can let me know. You can see 6-speed manual. This is obviously not the original shifter, but I do like this one. Just for reference, this is the original shifter that came with the car. It's a little bit scratched up on top, but this is similar to what they used in the Acura TSX of the time, and this actually looks pretty similar to the one in the new Acura Integra. So classic Honda shifter, but I do kind of like this ball-shaped Type R style shifter, so this is what I've been using. You'll also notice this carbon fiber-like trim on the interior was unique to the 6-speed models with the V6. The automatic transmissions had either a fake wood or like a satin aluminum trim, depending on the interior color. But let's go ahead and start it up. Classic Honda starter, really like that. You can see as of today, 183,931 is what our odometer looks like. So I've put 40,000 miles on this car in the last 5 years. The brunt of that, I think, was actually in the first 4 years. I've been driving this car a bit less in the last year or so, but I'll get into that in a little while. The leather seats are still in very good shape, front and rear. I have a towel drying out there because I just washed the car. But these leather seats, like I said, supportive, comfortable, and I definitely favor these over especially the 8th generation Accord. Those had kind of lumpy rock hard seats. These are nice and smooth and comfortable. There are definitely some features in here that are missing that definitely show this car's age. For example, there is no rear view camera. This was well before that time, and even with the optional factory navigation system, that was not available. You also might notice it says aux there on that button, but there's actually no factory Bluetooth audio or auxiliary input or USB or anything from the factory in this car. I do know that there are aftermarket kits that do allow you to basically plug and play those features, but I haven't done that in this car and probably won't. Let's go take a look under the hood. All right, and here we have the Honda J30A5 engine, the 3-liter single overhead cam, 24-valve V6 with VTEC, this was rated at 244 horsepower and 211 pound-feet of torque. I should really clean that off. Could use a little bit of tidying up under here. It's a little bit dirty, but that's okay. I ended up replacing the valve cover gaskets and the spark plug tube seals. And while I was there, I went ahead and replaced the intake manifold gasket. You can kind of see a little black corner of it there. And also the upper, whatever you call this plenum gasket under this cover here that bolts on and off. Just, you know, it's good preventative stuff to do while you have it all apart. But anyway, one of my spark plug tube seals was leaking oil, so that's why I went ahead and replaced all those gaskets and seals. This isn't the last Accord to have this, but this does still have hydraulic power steering. There's the reservoir, and here's the pump here right on top. As you can see, I think it might be leaking, but it's not to the point where I have to really top off the fluid at all, ever, so that's okay. You might notice this is a replacement radiator. I'll discuss that while we're driving. And this is a replacement cooling fan that was replaced at the same time that this radiator was. So I have had some issues with the cooling system, or related to the cooling system. I'll talk about that in a minute. But otherwise, I've been pretty happy with it. All right, let's go for a little spin here and I'll talk more about the car. Alright, so like I said, the biggest issue I've had with this car recently pertains to the cooling system. 3 times now I've had to replace the radiator. The first 2 times were because the radiator itself failed, and the 3rd time was because that cooling fan that I pointed out under the hood, the old one it had a metal bracket on it. This one is plastic that's in it now. But the old one, I guess my mechanic said it rusted away and somehow jabbed a hole in the radiator and obviously damaged it and made it unusable. So, kind of scary to all of a sudden just lose coolant and start overheating, because that basically strands you, and that's kind of why I've been driving this car a little bit less in the last year. But this last time it happened, it was over a year ago now, and so far I haven't had any new issues, so that's good. And also that thanks to those 3 repairs, I've also had new coolant in the car, so I don't have to worry about that for a while, hopefully. Still plenty of power, and it's very fun with the manual transmission. Oh, that also reminds me, one other minor, well, I thought it was going to be a major issue, but turned out not to be, the air conditioning. I think probably 2 years ago now, I was having a condition where the air conditioning was working intermittently. Like sometimes it would blow cold, sometimes it wouldn't. So it wasn't an issue with the blower motor or anything like that. I thought it was just low on refrigerant, so I tried that first. That didn't fix it. And then just because I'm a rookie mechanic, I just kind of guessed and got lucky. I looked under the hood and discovered that the AC condenser relay was not working. I swapped it with an identical relay. I think the cooling fan relay is the same in the fuse box. And once I swapped the relays, the condenser kicked on. So I just replaced the AC condenser relay, and that was a, I don't know, $7 or $8 fix. And I had air conditioning again. That was great. I also appreciate that this is kind of a, I guess what you could call a sleeper car. To everybody else who looks at this car, it's just a Honda Accord. It flies under the radar. I also say that because this is a, again, it's a 15-year-old Honda Accord. So for me at least, it's very inexpensive for insurance. I have full coverage on this. It's really, really reasonable. And as we all know, unfortunately after the 2020 model year, Honda discontinued the manual transmission for the Accord. So the closest, really the only manual transmission Honda you can get now is the Civic, whether it be a hatchback. They got rid of it for the sedan. So the hatchback, the SI, and the Type R. And I guess also the new Acura Integra offers the 6-speed, but those are the only Honda Acura models now that offer a manual transmission. And it is kind of disappointing, I think, because the 10th generation 2-liter turbo Accord, I think, was really a sweet spot, and now it's gone. I mean, there's still the 10-speed automatic, but it's just not the same engaging experience as it is, as the manual is. And I also think it was kind of a missed opportunity for Honda or Acura that they didn't put that engine in either the Civic Si or the Integra. So the only way to get the 2-liter turbo with a manual is in the Civic Type R, and we all know how expensive those are. I think the Accord with the 2-liter and manual was really a special package, and now it's gone. Now, I guess I should really drive a Civic Si or an Integra before I say this, but I really just don't think that the 1.5 turbo is as exciting as the 2-liter turbo. I mean, we're talking quite a difference in horsepower and torque. So basically, you have to go used now to get something like that. You have to get a used 10th generation 2-liter turbo Accord, or a 9th generation V6 6-speed Accord Coupe. They just don't really make something like this anymore. Alright, let's get on the highway here. Really like the grip from these Michelin Pilot Sport All-Season 4s. It definitely transformed how this car handles. It almost makes the rest of the suspension components feel kind of weak, honestly, but That's okay. All right, well, I think that's gonna pretty much do it for this time. Nothing terribly exciting has changed with this car, and I don't really have any plans of getting rid of it or anything, so it'll be around. All right, well, I think that's it for this video. We'll see you next time.